back with another astrological video. We're continuing through the Ascendant series, now on the sign of Cancer. So just to basically go back over what Ascendant is, it's your personality, it's representing how you, it's going to describe in a lot of different scenarios how you were brought up, different areas of your life. It's basically going to represent your whole life, as well as your physical expression and your physical here and now manifestations. So, getting into Cancer Ascendant, one of my favorite ascendants. Let's start with looks. They have like maybe a sad appearance, like droopy eyes, or even small beady eyes that seem to get lost in their fluffy cheeks. They seem to have like round cheeks, like puffy cheeks, moon-like face. They look like the moon. They look, very motherly or warm. They may not look friendly. They can look sweet and concerned, but they could also come off standoffish, because this is a sensitive sign, and on the Ascendant they just tend to read people as soon as they meet them. So with them being on that Capricorn axis, being the opposite sign, they can have a tendency to have that resting bitch face, just like Cap risings. So another thing with Cancer ascendants is a prominent stomach, even if that's abs or a pot belly. Something about the stomach is going to be pretty noticeable. It could be an extra thin waist as well. On a woman, it could be very noticeable boob area. And just really round and feminine features. With men or women, the weight could fluctuate. They can go from being slim to a heavy set. Watery eyes, just a concerned, if not sad look. So as far as stability goes, these people tend to go for, they're emotional, so they tend to need a job where they can be pretty creative, or their sense of resource and stability is going to usually come through a way of them being able to express themselves emotionally, because their moods change pretty often and they're not always going to be able to contain them. So it would be good for them to get into some kind of a career or a job where they're able to express themselves emotionally. That could be the arts, that could be like in acting, even though they're kind of shy sometimes, but acting, anything involving them being able to express something that's going on the inside, though. As far as like siblings go, their siblings could be just super nitpicky or bossy. They could be the youngest sibling. I forgot to mention with Cancer ascendants, they tend to be the youngest or the baby, or the one that got a lot of attention from mom. Mom plays a huge role in the Cancer ascendants' lives throughout their whole life. In fact, they're like mama's baby, mama's girl, mama's boy. A lot of crying, but usually it's for manipulation or get something they want. They learn early on. They cry, their mom's gonna appease them, if nobody else. These people do tend to keep a beautiful home. Again, they do well in jobs where they can be creative and express themselves. So you can really see them flourish, in the arts, creative arts, visual arts. These are like the painters. It could just be, locked away at home, or like living on the beach or the mountain somewhere, just isolated with their family or their pets and just creating beautiful art. These are those people. First of all the water signs, they're self-healers, so they all require a certain amount of retreat to re-energize themselves. And in this case, you really see that getting alone and being able to be creative and express all those moods and those modes that Cancer can experience throughout the course of a month. They really do take their fun seriously. They could also be the Scorpio sitting in their 5th house. So flings could get obsessed quite easily over a casual acquaintance, a casual sexual acquaintance. It could be just sex for one person. For them, it could be like they thought this was going to be the next boo. And they could find themselves easily hurt in like more shallow romantic scenarios. They gotta watch out for that, for dating and having high expectations too early on. As far as their partners go, or ideal partners go, they usually like somebody that, obviously we all like somebody that's the opposite of us, that shadow side. So with Cancers, Capricorn being their shadow side, they usually go for someone that's more monetarily driven, a little emotionally more distant and cold than them. Someone that's more like the father, whereas they're like that nurturing role. They tend to be attracted to partners that are kind of like harsh even, or just will give them some form of harsh punishment, in terms of, even if this is like BDSM. I've seen like Cancer ascendants really be into being dominated in relationships or being tormented, because that can be long suffering sometimes, Cancers. But yeah, like sometimes they can attract partners that are just a lot colder than them and more about money and just themselves, or could be a bit narcissistic. But they also tend to kind of feed off of these more, I don't want to say abuse, but like these harsher, because Capricorns are cold. Saturn is like not emotional. It's the opposite of Cancer. So in their 7th house, somebody that they're usually ideally attracted to is not that nice. That's one way it could play out. It could also be that they attract older partners, more mature partners that are usually ready to settle down and ready to be in a committed relationship. Or there could be there's usually a big age gap. And also, with this being Saturn sitting here, Cancers usually don't tend to get into marriage or serious relationships until later on. They tend to be later bloomers. And yeah, they usually tend to find themselves in rocky relationships and in earlier in their life. And as they age and get closer to their Saturn return, they tend to realize what they actually do need in relationships after the harsh lessons that Saturn throws at you. And then they tend to find someone that they can really stick with and that'll treat them better. These people, like, as far as sex goes, they can be kinky. They can have some quirks, or be into some interesting things in the bedroom. Like I said, I've seen it play out like with BDSM, or they like to be tied up or submit fully to a partner sexually, or they could just be into stuff that it's considered taboo or quirky or not conventional. They could even be open to polyamory in certain cases. And Cancer on the ascendant comes off relatively tame, or it's just something about Cancers that look innocent. So they have layers. That's the interesting part about them. They have layers, and I think it's just funny to think about the fact that they come off one way, right? But boy, oh boy, when it comes to like their sex life, this is a completely different story. They want something that's different. They actually want, again, to be dominated. I cannot really express that enough. And usually it's just they want something that's different than the conventional. When it comes to their groups, their family, they tend to find comfort in home, or like, I want to say home. They tend to find comfort around people that they find familiar. That's usually, they can be pretty hands-on or involved when it comes to like there's like really stable ground. Like they tend to stick with their beliefs and who taught them the beliefs. They could be really loyal in terms of their family life, or who, like, their family of origin. That's a big deal for Cancer ascendants. And getting back to Cancer's family of origin, they could also just plain old fashioned look like the mom or their mom or their dad. Like, straight up, they're going to just remind you of somebody in their family. They're going to wear their family lineage on their face, with the ascendant being like your face. You know, you're going to usually see the mom in the Cancer ascendant. So usually they look just like their mommy. When it comes to communication, these people can be quiet until they're comfortable. You know, if they're not comfortable around you, they can come off, like I said before, standoffish, or like they don't really want to communicate, or like they're not the chattiest people. And they are warm once you get to know them. I feel like they kind of save their fun side for creative expression, honestly. I feel like they keep their best sides to themselves, which is such a Cancer thing. There's crabs in their shell. Their whole world's in that shell, man. But yeah, with Cancer ascendants, I really see them flourishing when they're alone, or when they're amongst people that they're really like familiar with, or when they're at home, because they're emotional creatures, and they also are creatures of comfort. So they want to express themselves, but they want to feel comfortable doing it. So this would definitely be in the home. And with Cancer ruling the 4th house, you definitely want to see what that 4th house is doing, right? And in this case, Libra's sitting there. So again, art, visual art, beauty, recreation. They could just want to like laze around and just hang out alone and just enjoy food. They could be big eaters at home, which who isn't, right? Anyways, that's all I have for Cancer ascendant. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like more information on some more astrological details I'll be going over. And we'll be continuing this series through the ascendants, the next sign being Leo. Until next time.